You're listening to episode number 12 of the Happy Choir podcast. Hola, people. I am your host, Carlos Cordero, helping you connect with others through choral music. As I asked you last week and every week, I want to know how can I help you? That is my main question. I want to learn how can I help you connect with others through your music, through your voice, through your conducting. Because no matter if you're a singer, a conductor, or a composer of choral music, this is the place for you to learn, and for me to share with you my journey in choral music. Even if you are in the audience or if you are part of the organization of a choir, this is a podcast for you. And I'm so happy to be doing it. I want to also remind you that we can continue this conversation, or you can have any requests or any doubts that you have. Send me an email. Carlos at thehappychoir.com is where you can reach me. Now, let's talk about these little details, these small details that will change your career, that will help you connect with others. It is all about the details. And I'm sure that you might have heard this before, but when we pay attention and when we are this specific, then we start to make ourselves be apart from the rest of the people. Here's the thing: anybody can sing and anybody can conduct a choir and become a composer of choral music, because those are things that we can go to school to, or we can find a mentor that help us get forward. We can practice a lot and be better through trial and error. Those are things that are not impossible. In fact, that's the way that I got to be a composer, just by trying and then deciding that I wanted to be a composer. Anybody can wake up tomorrow and decide they want to be anything, right? I can change my career and I will figure it out somehow, some way. But I also believe that it is in the small details that people step aside and create their own path. This is how we can differentiate those people that stand out in the crowd. Have you heard of the Bulletproof Musician with Noah Kagayama? It's an excellent blog and website that I recommend and that I frequently read, where he talks about mindset and shift in the way that we practice, which you might think, okay, but we're all practicing, that this is the important part. He is talking that something that we all do can be different and can be more specific, or apply new techniques. He talks about the most successful musicians are the ones that pay attention to the small details and those nuances that maybe some are too busy or too lazy to pay attention to. In this, we truly have to believe that those who makes the effort to make this extra work are rewarded. Questions like how they practice, how they think about performance, how to pay attention to, and what to leave out. Important questions, as we talked about in the last episode, episode number 11. Ask better questions, get better answers. In this moment, we're looking to go deeper, to be more specific. And there's a reward at the end. There's a better performance, there's a better connection with the piece and with the people, in the ensemble, in the audience, with yourself, and with the music. But this is just an example of how important the subject of today is. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being an amateur. This just means that you do what you do because you love it. You are completely in love with performing or writing or whatever your task in choral music is. That's the simple definition of an amateur. The problem only comes with your goals when they don't match your desire and your actions. I've seen many people, and I've been guilty myself of this, of wanting more things and to reach other goals, but it's difficult when my actions don't match those desires. And I definitely cannot have the result without the work, right? If you are planning to have the career of a professional, you cannot think like an amateur because the precision and the efforts won't match. The same thing works in reverse. If you want to have your career as an amateur, you will burn out quickly if you demand as much as a professional will do. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't do the things or the hard work to be better. No. It means that you know your goals and that you match your energy and your actions with it. For example, if you're in a chorus full of amateurs, but you want more, you won't blend with them. It will be really difficult for you. Hey people, I want to take a quick second to tell you how your support makes a difference. When you support me on patreon.com, you are not only giving $3 a month, but you are giving my brand a vote of confidence. This translates to helping several other artists to connect through choral music. Think about it as a cup of coffee that you invite me once a month, only that it's way more impactful and personal. Plus, you get to be part of the behind the scenes of my career as a composer, with the many perks that I shared in there. Even if you're not able to give right now, your support listening to this podcast is great, even more if you leave a review in iTunes. Patreon.com/composercordero is the link that you want to visit or share with others. Hope to see you there. Continuing with the topic of today, where we're focusing now on the small details, you'll want to decide whether you want to treat your what you do as a hobby or as a career. I listened to this in a podcast, I cannot remember right now where, but it was eye-opening for me because I realized that I wanted the results of a professional composer who worked full time writing music and all of the other works that come with being a composer. But I wasn't putting the hard work to get those results. I felt that I was treating my career as a hobby or at least not making all the efforts that I could do. So this really helped me to go to the next step that I had to do. So decide, where do you stand? Are you doing this as a hobby or are you doing this as a career for your life? And the most important thing to remember here is that there is no judgment because my goal is to help you connect with others through choral music. And guess what? I have good news. You can do it in both scenarios. No matter if you're treating this as a hobby or as a career, you will connect with people, you will connect with music. But knowing where you stand will make your life so much easier and you will get more satisfaction because your actions will have a result that you want, that you're looking for. Yes, the connections will be different and the results, the the things that you get in both will be a little different, but they will still happen. When I think about an example in my life, I go to when I crochet because I don't expect it to be a big enterprise and I'm not expecting to make a career out of it. I know that my goal is to relax and to learn something new, to do something that I wasn't expecting to learn, but that I am happy that I can do because it allows me to express myself in some other way. And it's awesome to just give away these little things that I do, even if they are shapeless sometimes. But the point here is that I'm crystal clear of what my goal here is to treat it as a hobby and my results. Yes, I want to get better, of course. I want to do things that have more shape, but I'm not expecting it to be a professional level. I'm not expecting for me to put the same type of energy that I put in my career as a composer. I'm using a different kind of energy, a different kind of mindset to enjoy this in a different way. That's my crochet, that's something simple and a hobby for me. Now, in my career, I realized that even though I enjoy it a lot, I want different results. I want to be able to support myself and to be a full time composer who makes a living through composing and through all of my music products. So I realized, yes, I want to be a professional composer. So when I decided to be a professional composer and to treat my career as something serious, as a serious business, I realized that there were small nuances that I could do. And I want you to remember here that it doesn't have to be painful to grow. It does not necessarily have to be something that it's hard to go through, but it might be hard sometimes. We have to be prepared for rejections, for things that will take more time than we plan to. And this will just help you to be at peace with the process and with the journey. So let's talk about the small nuances that I discovered that are important to get ahead. We all know this one, right? Showing up is truly, truly important. But I will add this little detail: show up ready. And to be ready means to know your music before rehearsal, to know your role within the organization, to be willing to make mistakes and be bold in your composition session, to show up fully and to show up ready to take risks and make bold mistakes, as my husband says in his rehearsals. It is also truly important to understand what showing up ready does not mean. To show up ready does not mean that you have all the answers or that you know how to do everything that you want to do. No, that's not showing up ready. Instead, it is far more useful to have the right questions that lead you to the right answer or the useful answer, as we discussed in the previous episode here in the Happy Choir podcast. Remember, show up, but show up ready. That will make you stand out in that rehearsal. That will help you to get noticed. The next detail that we can change is to love what you do and show up ready, but show up even when you don't feel like it or even when you don't want to. This it's a difficult exercise. I won't lie to you. As a composer who deals with a lot of self-doubt, I've struggled with showing up in those days that I don't feel like I have something worth to say because my mind is trying to get me to not work and to stay on the comfortable zone, right? So I won't lie to you, it's not an easy thing, but there is this belief that artists must only come to their art when they feel like it or when they have this inspiration that the muse sent. When in reality, if you are serious about growing your business and becoming a full time artist, you will appreciate those moments that you have to put in the work and the time to get better or to work through your ideas. Yes, it won't be comfortable. It will probably be out of your comfort zone or you will constantly feel that you're not making progress, but you are. And coming on those days that you don't want to, it's even more powerful because then you are showing your commitment to your voice. By doing this, you can also change your mind and go from I don't feel like doing this because it's either too painful or too scary for me to a natural curiosity. You find this desire to know what today is bringing. Before I wrap up this episode, I want to remind you that there is a link to the show notes in the description of this episode and that it will have all of the links that I've mentioned here plus a summary of the episode. And while you are there in my website, you can subscribe to my newsletter, which will be very helpful because you will get content specially made for you and your choir, a free guide to learn how to be a happy composer, happy conductor, and happy singer, plus a coupon for a $20 discount on your next choral recording. If you're still here, I just want to say thank you again because it is not easy to record this episode with the allergies that I'm having here in Texas. So I'm very grateful that you're still here. Something that I learned in my career is to see further and to plan accordingly. That helps me, that's a detail that helps me to unlock new accomplishments. When planning, I don't just stop at what I'm doing this week or what I want to do this week. I try to go even further and to map out or brainstorm the idea of what I want to accomplish in the not only in the week but even in the month. So that little detail helps me to get a sense of what's the big picture and then I go into details of the day and what is it that I want to accomplish, but always looking forward to that big goal. See your actions as waves that replicate in the sea. That's the idea of seeing how everything will connect with the next thing, how one thing will unlock the next one. The last detail to pay attention to it's about failure. And this is important for me because I've been talking about it on the podcast and on my blog. And a lot of people will tell you, go there, go out and fail. And that's great. But I think that the detail that you want to pay attention to, it's the growing part. You have to take failure and grow. I feel that that's what helps you the most to continue despite of how hard it is to recognize these failures and to face them when they come, because it is going to be hard, as I said in the beginning, and we all fail. It's going to happen. So not only go out and fail, but do it with a purpose. Do it with the idea that you will have an experience and you will grow after it. You will have a new knowledge or a new connection, or somebody will see your work. There are so many ways to fail, but not only fail, but learn with it. I would love if you can email me about what you think of these kind of ideas of going into detail. Is it too much for you? Is it something that you are willing to do to see your career as a professional instead of a hobby? I would like to know. I'm curious about your take on this idea. As always, the Happy Choir podcast is here to help you connect with others through choral music. I am always here to also know how can I best help you. What are the things that you want me to talk about, or even if you want to call me and have a conversation about ideas. Let's schedule it. Just send me an email to carlos@thehappychoir.com and I'll be happy to schedule a time with you. See you in the next episode of the Happy Choir podcast. Ciao, people. You've been listening to the Happy Choir podcast. For more information and show notes, visit thehappychoir.com.